Welcome back
Hi.
one more time to our beautiful podcast. Today, we're not in our beautiful studio as you guys could see. Today, we're with my beautiful girlfriend, Jean Vassan. She's a very special guest because she has very interesting and smart ways of seeing the world. So, I wanted to start today by asking you about the feminist movement. I know it could sound as a strong word, but I just wanted to ask you, what's your view on that? What's your perspective as a female? Um, the feminist movement nowadays that you could see every time is getting more and more and more strength.
I think there's multiple point of views to take towards it. I think there's the women that are very feminists and take it very seriously. Then there's the women like me who agree to some arguments and disagree to some arguments. And then there's the women that are just that do not agree at all what the feminist movement means to them. I personally am in the middle. I agree to women being able to have their own career, women being able to have their own income, women being able to be and do whatever they want to do. However, there are some extreme points that I would like to disagree with because I also have a very old school mindset that feminists could disagree with me. I'm educating myself at the moment in American University. I'm hoping one day to have a good career that allows me to have my own income and not depend on any men. However, I would love to be a woman, to be a mother, and be able to have time within my career to take care of my children. And that to me is one of the most important things I could do for myself. Meaning that I would love to have a career that allows me to still be a good mother and have time to take care of my house and my husband and my children. I personally do not see myself being what we call a girl boss, which is what I think a lot of feminists are looking forward to. Also, another point that feminists love to take is being able to have zero controversy towards our body. I am 50-50 on that subject too, because a lot of feminists think that showing our body should be okay and we should be open about it, and that our private parts are not to be ashamed of. I am personally, there's a word in French, it says pudique, which means you like to keep your personal and private parts and private information to yourself, and I think I can relate to that a little bit.
Well, I could see where you come from. You can also, I can tell, and the audience could tell that it would be very different if I would interview a person that has more of a feminist point of view, but I could tell that from what you've said, you were grown up with a family that was more, you could say it, traditional
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, please.
I grew up in a household where both of my parents worked from home, so there was never an issue of my mother or my father being the main household keeper. However, there was a time where both my parents did not work from home, and we grew up with nannies, me and my siblings. I personally would not want to do that for my children. If it is ever needed, it will happen, but I would also agree that my mother was more in charge of the chores and taking care of the children, and my mother would come to dance competitions with me. She's always done the laundry, always done the dishes, and yeah, I think that's also like the role model
Well,
I have.
let me ask you another question. Because me personally, as you guys know, I lived in Colombia. Then I moved to the U.S. and now I'm here living in Madrid as a student. Me personally, I have never in my life experienced nothing against it, just something I've never experienced before. The amount of homosexuality that exists in this city. For example, when I lived in Colombia, it's a very more what's the word, Joe, in English when it's more like, like back in time. What's it called?
Like old school.
No, there's another word specific for that. All right, we could use old school, whatever. In Bogota, people are very old school, so there's not a lot of, for example, freedom. There's not a lot of gay people. There are, but they don't show it as much. Yeah, it's a little more old school. In the U.S., it's very open. I've seen all type of everything because everything is accepted. But here in Spain specifically, I've never in my life before have been friends or so close to a gay person, and I encountered myself with one of my best friends here in Madrid. His name is Marco, and he's fully open gay. And I think it has been extremely valuable to meet someone that it's gay and it's confident what they are, but it doesn't change themselves. It doesn't change themselves, and it doesn't change anything towards the relationship I have with them. So I wanted to ask you, what was your cultural shock by the time you came to Madrid compared to Miami, specifically because you live here in Chueca, the heart of freedom in Madrid. So what would you say about it? What were your first thoughts when you moved here and you decided to live in this neighborhood?
Well, before I moved to Miami, my godparents are both a gay couple and two men. So I've always been kind of surrounded by it, and I've been educated. The way my parents have educated me towards the LGBTQ community has always been you have to accept them for who they are, and that's something that I've always hold very close to my heart, that I understand, and I've understood it at a very young age. In Miami, because there are a lot of South American people, I would say there are also, I think the word you were looking for is conservative.
Conservative.
Because a lot of people from South America are living in Miami. There's also a very big conservative community towards the LGBTQ plus community. And so I would also say that I was not...
Wait, what's the plus about? LGBTQ. What's the plus? I thought it was LGBTQ. Excuse me for my...
LGBTQ plus.
Okay. What does the plus mean?
Lesbian.
No, the plus.
Gay.
I know it's lesbian, bi, gay,
LGBT, transgender, Q, queer.
Yeah.
And then plus is everything else. People who identify as
animals.
You can't put that in the
cats.
You can't put that.
Why not? Why not? No, I'm gonna talk about that. So,
going back.
Good that you just mentioned this to me. I wanted to ask your perspective on the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
What I was saying is that I had never been surrounded by such a big community of like LGBTQ plus community since I had moved here. Um, I've had a few gay friends, but never like the way I have here. The only actual gay friend I had back in Miami was this dude named Taylor, who was a ballet dancer with me. And other than that, I don't think I had any other.
Okay, you've made very
Friends.
clear that you've been in touch, you've lived, the gay presence have always been close to you throughout your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been very open and completely fine about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be a little bit more specific, not only with gays, but specifically the LGBTQ movement. I want to talk about the queers. I want to talk about transgenders. I want to talk about people that identify themselves as cats. What do you think about that?
Look, I think that our generation is very good at not being able to make a choice or a decision. Meaning that whether they feel like their body should be a female's body or a male's body, personally, I do not agree with the whole they them concept because I think that's not how the human nature works at all. I think that we're making our brain and our behavior more complicated than it should be. I think that it should be female or male. There are no other genders, right? I think if you identify as a woman but you're stuck in a man's body, it is okay to make the transition. However, I've seen also and I've educated myself a lot on the subject.
Can you speak a little louder?
I've educated myself a lot more on the subject, meaning that I've seen a lot of videos on people who have done the transformation from female to male or male to female, and after a few years have undone it because the trend became to be a transgender. And now I think that that's a big issue, and that's something that should be talked about a lot more because we have normalized the transitioning a lot. However, we have not normalized making sure that that is the right thing to do. There are scientific research on why transitioning is a thing, and it is because you have when you are born, you have XX and XY. XY is for male and XX is for female. You could be born with a body XX but the brain of XY or vice versa, meaning that it could create the transgender, what transgender is. However, now because on social media it is so open and talked about, people think it is normal, and that's something that happened during COVID when people were bored and people were not feeling like themselves anymore and decided to create another.
So
persona.
you're gonna come and tell all these people that transgendered, but they just transgender because they were bored and it was a trend? I have friends that they've transgendered before. They were women and now they're fully grown men. And they don't think it's because he was boring. It's the best decision they've taken their entire life. They lived their life to the fullest and they're the happiest they've ever been.
I agree, but that probably is because of the science thing I just explained.
Yeah, but you just said that a bunch of people just did it because it was a
Because
trend
there's
and it was the
also a whole
pandemic.
community of people who did it because it was a trend, and that now they are transforming back, or they've made the wrong choice, and now it's just a complicated concept. And how come now is when all of this is happening? You know what I mean? Why are there so many transgenders to this day?
Why?
There are so many.
Why? Why do you think? Because
I think because it became a trend on the internet.
I think it's because finally we got to the point in our society that people were afraid to be what they are, and there's a wave that there's been recorded gay people
But no,
since the first day of
gay
human
people has
history.
nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It does,
It's
it
about
does.
trends.
It does have to do because it all started by just being gay, liking your same sex, and not being able to talk it out loud because they would grab your head and chop it off in the middle of a plaza. It got to the point of our society that everyone can be whatever they want, even if there's a person that identifies themselves as a cat, they can be a cat because no one else is gonna go judge them because we're in a society where people can be whatever they want.
Look, I agree completely with transgender. Now, I personally think there's too much transformation happening right now. And it's like everything, we need to hit the extremes for it to become a normal thing, right? Right? Now I think we're hitting the extreme and everyone is becoming transgenders and transforming themselves, which I personally think is a little bit too much. And gay people has nothing to do with what I'm talking about because the concept of being gay is something that comes back to way back in history, and it's been normalized for centuries. Because I can tell you, the King of France, I don't remember which one it was, but one of the King of France was fully gay. I think it was Louis XIV, Louis XIV.
Yeah.
He was fully gay. And it was normalized because he would have sex with men. And that was completely normal. So the concept of being gay is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about transgender, transitioning into another gender. And I'm also talking about the concept of they them, which I completely disagree with. Because I think that you need to make a choice.
What if they don't want to make a choice?
Stupid.
Stupid, she says. Well, we're gonna leave this one for personal interpretation. I wanted to ask you of more of a personal question of, how do you feel as a woman here in Spain? Do you feel safe? When you walk on the streets, you feel safe? Have you ever had any personal harassment? What are the differences between, I like to compare, so I would like to tell you what are the differences between here and the US or France in terms of just feeling safe as a woman.
Here in Spain is one of the first times I actually spent so much time outside because of public transportation. In Miami, I was rarely facing strangers due to the fact that I was always in a car or in someone's house, or there wasn't so much public transportation, so I was never really facing strangers. And coming to Madrid, I realized that they love staring, which could make me sometimes uncomfortable because I think that either they have bad intentions or they think I look weird, or I don't know, maybe just me being young bothers them. I have no idea. So I think that's the only thing that would potentially bother me. Here in the center of Madrid, in the Chueca Sol area, at night, it could be a little scary.
Why you say that? Have you had any experiences? Have you felt harassed on the streets?
I personally have not felt harassed in the streets, but I have felt the feeling of being in danger due to the fact that there are a lot of people who are like homeless people or any kind of dangerous people around that could make me feel in danger. Alone at night. Like, for example, in my street.
Okay, but like, there's areas where you feel unsafe in any city of the world. I'm talking of more of a general thing. Like, Has it happened to you or any of your friends that you're walking on the street and three guys just start whistling at you? Stuff like that?
I've
Or
had friends being
does it happen
followed
to you
home.
that, yeah?
Yeah, I've had a friend being followed home.
How was that?
Well, she like ran home. She was being followed. And I've never been followed. I've never been attacked. I've never gotten anything stolen. But I know people that have had pretty harming experiences. Like my friend also got his stuff stolen in the middle of Seoul at 4 a.m. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's it. That's all for today. I want to say that this whole conversation we had today, all this interesting controversial topics we talked about today, um, were originally based and inspired by my professor, Miss Asuncion. I want to say thanks a lot for this semester, and yeah, that'll be all. Goodbye, and see you guys next time. Peace. Clock out.